Well, all right, everyone, welcome to the EnchanteeKnows channel. And tonight we're going to be making our very first cooking video. Tomorrow night we are going to be live on Twitch TV at 7 p.m. where we will be cooking another meal, but we will be doing it for a live studio audience. But for tonight, we are going to cook a meal because we want to test out all of our cameras. We want to make sure that everything is working and that we're able to actually be able to get the video and make the video. And so this is officially our very first EnchanteeKnows Cooking with Love stream. And so tonight we're going to make something really quick fix. We're actually going to make cheesesteak tacos. I wanted some cheesesteaks, but I didn't have any cheesesteak bread. So instead, we're going to put it into some flour tortillas. We're going to call them cheesesteak tacos or cheesesteak burritos, whatever you want to call them. But that's what it's going to be. And so without further ado, we will go ahead and get started. So of course, when we're starting our cooking, the first thing that we're going to want to do is to prep our peppers and our onions for the cooking, right? And so here we have our onion that we're going to go ahead and we're going to prep it and we're going to chop it up. You can throw this stuff away. I try to, as much as I can when I'm in the kitchen, to try and keep as much stuff away from being trash and dirty dishes and stuff like that. Not always successful, but for tonight, this is where we're going to start. So we have our onions here. They're going to be very roughly chopped because we want to saute them down. Okay. All right. So that's our onions ready to go. And then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take ourselves some peppers and we're going to have a red pepper, a yellow pepper, and an orange pepper. And these are all like those little mini sweet peppers that come out that are available to us, right? So we're going to take these, we're going to add a little bit of pepper to our cheesesteaks. And I'm going to go ahead and chop the next one here, get all of the guts out of it. And then I'll take and rinse them off one more time so that I don't have the seeds in there, so that they're not too spicy. Although these are sweet peppers, so they wouldn't really be spicy. But if you are cooking and you are using any type of pepper, and you really want to make sure that that pepper is not too terribly hot, you want to gut it just like I did as best as you can. Get rid of as many of the seeds as possible so that it won't be too peppery for you, especially if you are not used to or don't desire to have very hot and spicy foods. All right, so I've done that. So now what I'm going to do is rinse these off just a little bit here in my sink. All right. So now I've rinsed those. I'm going to bring them back. And again, just like with the peppers, I'm going to very finely chop these. Or not finely chop them, but chop them kind of roughly. Because I really just want to be able to saute this down and have it be a part of my peppers and onions that I'm preparing here. All right, so this doesn't take too very much, and like I said, I really like what I'm doing here because this is going to be a pretty quick cook type of thing. It's not going to take us very long to cook it. I went ahead and decided to do prep right here while we're cooking. All right, so I have that ready to go. And so now I'm going to prepare my pan I just need to get it ready to go here so that we can get ready to cook. Cook this out. All right. So I just wanted to make sure my pan was rinsed and prepared and ready to go for what we needed to get done here. All right, so that was fairly simple. Just want to make sure it's ready, that we don't have that's ready here for us to cook the meal with. Alrighty. So I think we are good to go with our pan. So now we're going to take our pan and we're going to put it here on the stove. And the first thing that we want to do is we want to go ahead and put a drizzle of olive oil in the pan. So that should be a good amount of olive oil, just a drizzle of the olive oil in the pan. And we're going to go ahead. Most of the time I would start my heat before I would add the peppers. Before I would add the oil. But tonight, as I said, we're just doing a test cook. And we're just going to go ahead and let that oil warm in the pan. Like I said, typically when you're doing this, you want to make sure that you have your heat on your pan already and that you add the oil to the warm pan so that it'll go ahead and be ready to go. But for tonight, we were just running into just a little bit. And so, as I said, as you go, clean as you go, just makes things a lot easier for you when you get done. So that way you can sit down pretty quickly and enjoy your meal, right? All right, so let's go take a couple of minutes here. And so what I am going to do, I put a little bit more oil in there than I really had intended to put in there, because one of the secret ingredients to really making this tasty is going to be combining the olive oil with just a touch of butter. Doesn't have to be a whole lot. You just want it to be a touch of butter that you're putting in. And so we're going to put, I have my teaspoon here, we're going to put about a half a teaspoon of the butter into this. I use a soft butter blend. It's actually, I can't show you the brand because I don't want to create any problems with somebody saying I have a video and I showed a brand name. But I use one of the well-known brands of butter. Mine is actually mixed with a little bit of olive oil and salt. And that's what I use for additional flavoring. All right. So let's see, can we get our butter and stuff going here? Again, like I said, oh, and if you're cooking, I'm cooking on a gas stove. I always, where possible, try to cook things at the 5 or 6 mark. Never taking it too much more than that unless I'm trying to do something that's a real fast and furious fry, or I'm boiling water. But if you keep your stove between that 5 and 6 mark, you really do have an opportunity to cook your food thoroughly without burning it, okay? All right, so we're gonna go ahead. We see this is frothing a little bit here. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna add our onions. We had an onion to escape. That's always the case. You always got one that's gonna try to get away. And that's exactly what happened. We had an onion that got away, so it's going to have to stay over there where it is. All right, so now that we've gotten that done, the next thing that I want to do, I'm going to leave that spoon there a little bit. I'm going to wipe it off because I do at some point want to add a little bit of this crushed garlic. I always buy my garlic already crushed, so I don't have to worry about it. So there, we're going to add a little bit of crushed garlic to it. But in the meantime, although we have onions in here, I'm going to add a little bit of onion powder to the mix here. I'm also going to go ahead, we're going to put garlic in, absolutely, but I do like the flavor of garlic. So I'm going to add a little bit of the garlic salt. I mean, not garlic salt, salt. This is actually just simply garlic pepper. And then I'm going to add some black pepper to this, right? Season up these veggies really, really nicely. Okay. And then to that, I'm going to add just a touch of salt, because there was some salt already in the butter, that mixture that we picked up. All right, so we're going to go ahead here. We're going to saute these down. Let this cook a little bit. Okay. And while we're letting this cook, I'm going to go ahead and grab my frozen steaks. They're little thin wafer steaks. I'm going to grab the frozen steaks out of my freezer. So while that's preparing, I'm going to grab these frozen steaks out of the freezer here. Again, I'm trying not to show the brands of what I'm using, because I don't want to have any issues with anybody. But what we have here is some frozen steaks, and they look just like the little thin wafer frozen steaks. So I have 3 flour tortillas here. So I'm going to, I like my little steakums to be meaty. So I'm going to put 1, 2, 3. Got 3 right there. Gonna need a little bit more meat than that. 3. 4. I'm gonna put 5 steaks in here. That should make for 3 nice and nice taco-sized little little steak tacos, steak burritos, whatever we want to call them. We're going to call them steak tacos since we're putting them in taco-sized tortilla shells. So we're not doing the big burrito-sized ones. That was so funny. Yesterday I was listening to somebody else while they were cooking, and they were trying to decide what size burritos they needed to use, or what size tortilla shells they needed to use, and it was kind of funny to listen to them talking about that. All right, so we got this here. I'm gonna let this cook down a little bit more. I would like to see these onions and peppers be a little bit more soft. And then once I cook them down and get them soft, I'm actually going to transfer them into a bowl, because the next thing that I'm going to do is to cook. Next thing I'm going to end up doing is cooking the steakums. They usually come out to be a little bit on the greasy side, so I like to cook them separately and then drain off some of that oil, that natural oil that they have when they cook and expand. So I do that. I usually take a couple of clean paper towels and kind of sop up some of that grease, but I'll show you that at the end here. All right. So I think we got that done. These are cooking down nicely. Let it cook down just a little bit more. I do want them to be nice and soft. So I want to say at this point, what I'm going to go ahead and do is add a little of the garlic to it. Don't want that to stay in there too long, because if it does, then of course it will start to get a little bit bitter. This is smelling real good. I wish I had some smell-o-vision so you can see how good this is smelling. But I really think the key to having a really good cheesesteak is to have your peppers, your onions, what you're going to have inside of it to go along with the meat, you know, nicely seasoned, soft, and good to go. So at this point, because I don't want the garlic to burn, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this out and drop this here. Need to be very careful. That is an open flame right there that I'm reaching over here. But I wanted to kind of show you this and how it, you know, how that turned out. So those are my onions and peppers and garlic mixture. So at this point, I'm just going to take the cheesesteak pieces here, and I'm just going to start to break them up and add them to the pan. Not much to see here other than, you know, that's what we're doing. And I'm going to grab one more of the cheesesteak pieces because even if I do end up having a little bit of extra, it'll go very good in the morning with a fried egg. So I'm going to grab one more of these and add it to the bunch. So we're going to let this go ahead and fry down. While this is frying down, I'm going to go rinse off my cutting board so I can dice up or slice some tomatoes. I already have shredded cheese, so I don't have to do any work with the cheese, but I do need to dice my tomato. And of course, while that's cooking down, I also want to make sure that I do give it some seasoning as well. All right, so I'm going to put these back in the freezer. Got those back in the freezer. So now I'm going to put a little pepper on these cheesesteaks. Add a touch of salt. That was a little bit more than a touch right there. Don't make that mistake when you're making yours. All right, I'm going to add some garlic in here again and add a little bit more of the onion powder. All right. And I think that that's it. I don't want to make these too spicy, but I'm going to add just a tap of cayenne pepper just to give it a little bit of a kick. I didn't want to make it too spicy, but that'll be just enough to add a little bit of kick to the flavor. All right. That was a great call on adding that extra one. It might not be for breakfast in the morning because these do cook down to their little greasy minimums. So this will work out pretty good, I think. All right. So I think this is on its way to finishing up. I'm going to turn it down to 5 because I don't want it to actually burn. I don't want it to burn while I'm trying to finish it up. All right, so now what I'm going to do, as I said, I'm going to go over here. I'm going to rinse this off in the sink. Use a little sanitizer on it. Always want to be careful. Meat safety, always want to be careful. And I'm actually going to end up flipping it over on the other side, but I wanted to at least first get that meat off of it. And so now that I have done that, I'm going to take my little Roma tomato here. That's what I have. Okay. And go ahead and cut it in half here and take those little ends off that nobody seems to want. Okay. And then I'm simply going to slice these just like this so that we can add them right to the sandwich along with the already chopped lettuce. Okay, so we have some tomatoes there. All right, that's good. So I think we're done. I think we're done with this big knife for now. We may use it in a second to slice some things, but as you can see, as I was saying about these little steak wafers, they cook down to their very greasy selves. Oops. I lost some. I just lost some. All right. I was stirring a little bit too hard. All right. I'm gonna let this cook down just a tad bit more. Not too much more because I don't want it to burn, but I do want it to cook down just a little bit more so it isn't like mushy when you eat it, because it can get mushy if you don't do that. All right, and in the meantime, I have some little tortillas here. I'll go ahead and take those out. And what I'm going to do is actually warm those in the microwave. And the little trick that I use for that is I take paper towels and I wet them. I don't make them sopping wet, but I wet the paper towel. And I kind of stretch it out. And then what I do is I take the tortillas and I wrap them in the paper towels. Not sure how well you're seeing that. Hopefully you're seeing it pretty good. But I wrap the tortilla up in the paper towel, and in a few minutes I'm going to put them in the microwave for about 20-25 seconds. 30 might be a little bit too much, but put them in there for a few seconds to kind of soften them up. And I think this is pretty much done. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to grab a plate. I'm going to grab a plate here and a few paper towels, making sure I pull this away from the heat because I don't want that paper to catch on fire. So I'll do this like that. And I'm going to transfer the meat over onto this. And the only reason I'm doing this is, as you saw, these cheesesteaks were quite a bit on the greasy side. I'm going to add this back in. So this can rewarm. Okay. And I'm going to use my paper towels to kind of pat out. Just using my paper towels here, as you can see, to just kind of pat out some of the grease. It won't get rid of all of it, but it'll get rid of quite a bit of it to make it be a little less greasy when it goes back in the pan. So I did that, and I'm going to transfer this back. And again, these are very clean paper towels. Make sure you have clean paper towels to do that with. And I can take that greasy mess, I can get rid of it. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to wipe down my plate because I'm going to use it to help to assemble my cheesesteak. All right, so this would not be cheesesteak without the cheese. And so we're going to put a mixture of cheeses in. All right, and like I said, it is not a cheesesteak without cheese. So I'm going to add a blend of cheese in here. We are cheese lovers at my house, so there's plenty of cheeses always. So I'm going to add a little mozzarella. So we have some mozzarella cheese there. I'm going to add a couple of slices of provolone. So we have a couple of slices of provolone here. I'm going to just break them up a little bit here, add it so the cheese can melt. So we got mozzarella, we got some provolone. I'm going to put a slice of Munster cheese. I'm going to turn this down just a little bit because I don't want it to burn now that I'm putting the cheeses in there. All right, so I have a slice of Munster here that I'm also going to add to this. Again, just letting these cheeses melt across the top. And then last but not least, I'm going to add just a dusting of some Mexican blend cheese, Fiesta blend cheese. Sorry about that. I knew I had some that was open. I didn't want to open up a brand new container of it, but I'm going to go ahead and add some Fiesta blend cheese. That kind of gives it a little bit of color extra on top of it. And so this cheese is really a combination of Monterey Jack, cheddar, and queso and asadero. So this is going to be very nice. All right, so there we have it. We're letting that continue to melt. While that's melting, I'm going to go ahead and put my tortillas in the microwave. I'm going to go ahead and do 30 seconds on them because they are a little cold, a little colder than I thought they were. And I'm just prodding this a little bit because I do want my cheeses to melt down in this pretty decently. Now, normally, if I were making these with regular bread, I would put something like a sprinkle of mayo or something like that on the bread. I'm not sure with the tortilla. I guess I can treat the tortilla as a piece of bread, right? And I could put something on there. These turned out really nice. Look at that. 30 seconds in the microwave. They're nice and soft. That turned out quite lovely. All right, so we're going to put our first one down. And I believe we are ready to start to assemble. Hopefully you can see this. Yep, you can. All right, so I said I had 3 quesadillas. Got 3 shells. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm just gonna do what I would normally do. Section this off as if it were for 4 servings. I love this pan. It's a 10-inch fry pan. It is perfect for that. So here we go. Making the 4 servings with this. I'm gonna go ahead and turn this off. And so I'm gonna start by very strategically attempting to put this in the shell. This isn't the most best way to have done this. I probably should have just used a spoon. It probably would have been a better situation. And since we have the extras from one, we're going to go ahead and make these kind of hearty. Go ahead and make these hearty tonight. So I'm going to add this on here. I know I have been hungry. This is my first meal that I'm fixing tonight. All right. So we have that on there. I'm going to put a few slices of the tomato on here. Okay, a few slices of tomato. And then I'm going to go grab my lettuce. And I'm going to put a sprinkling of lettuce across here, like so. And then I'm going to attempt to roll my burrito taco. This looks good. Now, I'm going to flip it over like this, so it's not, completely falling apart on us. And then I'm going to go ahead, yum yum, and grab another plate. Actually, I don't have another plate to put them in. So you're going to see me do this quite a bit as I'm cooking. We have our favorite glass dishes that serve as a great serving. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this burrito right here, and I'm going to flip it over. Maybe I can make it a little tighter. gotta squeeze in there, baby. Mama made you fat. All right. So, presentation. Let me put it like this so it looks a little bit better from a presentation perspective. But that's the one burrito that's made. Let me go ahead and assemble the other two burritos very quickly here. This is nice and cheesy and ready to go. So I'm not the best when it comes to assembling it. All I can tell you is it's good. I can tell just from the smell of it that this is going to be quite delicious. I have some cooking utensils coming tomorrow. So hopefully when I do my live cooking stream tomorrow on Monday on Twitch, things will look a little bit better when I go to assemble them because I will have some better tools to use. All right, so this is another nice little burrito sandwich that I'm going to put in here. And I think these would help. It would help too if I had some toothpicks. Oh no, did I make the burrito sandwich and didn't put the ingredients in it? Oh my gosh. Y'all know I'm silly, right? I gotta put the I gotta put the tomatoes on there. And it needs some lettuce. Oh my gosh. Somebody was about to get the burrito and be like, what the heck? Where in the world is the lettuce and the tomatoes? And it probably would have been me grabbing that particular one. So no wonder I was able to wrap it so neatly, right? I didn't have all the ingredients in it that it needed to have. Now it's fat and pregnant. So let's put it in there. All right, and now let's make the last one. This is our last tortilla that we're gonna make. That came out very nicely with the cheese and the other stuff. And so definitely for all of us in the house, when we go to eat, we can definitely decide if we want salsa or some other type of seasoning on top of it. We can make those choices and those decisions as we prep our own food. All right, so all the stove is off. All right, so this one, let's not do it like we did the last one and forget to put the tomatoes and the lettuce on it. So we got the tomatoes on it. We got the lettuce on it. We're done with that. Put that in the sink. So we got lettuce, we got tomatoes. All right. So I think that we have successfully done our cook for tonight. Our very first cooking video. Hopefully I won't have to do too much editing. But I think if I were to look at the video, I would be well pleased with how this turned out. All right, so one more fat burrito taco sandwich going in here. So there we have it. So we have our 3 cheesesteak burrito sandwiches. I probably could put some more, I'll have to clean this up later, but you know me, OCD. But we probably could clean, probably might even smother that down even more with some cheese. I don't know, just depends on what we want to do. But definitely we can take and put some salsa on top of it if we would like. Salsa and sour cream. Just want to show you the finished product here. We have 3 nice burritos. I am not going to go through the process of putting anything extra on them because I do like to leave the burritos where people can fix them to their taste. But certainly I can imagine there being some salsa on them, some sour cream. I may even add some jalapenos to mine. I love the taste of jalapenos, especially fresh jalapenos. But anyway, this is the basics of what we have, the cheesesteak tacos, cheesesteak taco burritos, whatever you want to call them. They're all done. And so I want to say once again, thank you so much for joining me for this cooking stream. My name is Enchantee. I run a channel on both YouTube and Twitch called EnchanteeKnows. You can also find me on Instagram as well as TikTok and Twitter, all under the brand EnchanteeKnows. So if you really did like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. But really appreciate that subscription to the channel and liking of the video. It's our very first cooking video. We did it, you know, this was all done unrehearsed, typical way in which I would cook the meal. So hopefully you found it beneficial and you enjoyed the stream. And until next time, take care of yourself and God bless. I'll see you soon.